We had more discussion today with Mr. Jim Polito about this fuel cell. Jim isn't as happy about it as I am. I think it's just a cool technology for airplanes for a few reasons. But we really got into that. And then we started talking about hydrogen. How do you make the hydrogen? How do you make the electricity? So that brought us into what we're looking at really now with nuclear plants, these new, fifth or sixth generation plants. And that is probably what we should be doing. And yet there's so much pushback. Anyways, here we go with Mr. Jim Polito.
You all know the story of the Hindenburg, right? Hydrogen, the Nazis, dirigible, the blimp, its ability to rise through hydrogen. We wouldn't give the Nazis helium, which has the same properties, but is safe. Hydrogen is not safe. Well, it looks like General Motors is thinking about or working on a hydrogen fuel cell for airplanes. Joining us now to talk about this, but just briefly, and some more important things, is our good friend and tech talk guru, Craig Peterson. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning. And today we have a shortage of helium as well.
Wow.
For birthday parties, knows how it's gotten more expensive. Maybe there's something there.
I don't know. I hate to put you on this one, but you shared the story with me, and I said, General Motors developing a hydrogen fuel cell for airplanes. All I can say is, oh, the humanity. Oh, the humanity. So tell us, my good friend, what this is all about.
Sure. I'm really actually excited about this. This is, I think, an interesting idea. Yeah. First of all, the Hindenburg, there were some serious design flaws, not the least of which the Hindenburg itself was coated with rocket fuel. The whole outside was cellulose nitrate, and nitrate is used to make gunpowder.
Oh, yeah.
So they had the leak, they had a spark, and it went up like that because the whole thing was coated in rocket fuel. So it's not that hydrogen is not dangerous, because it is. You've got to keep it under control.
Yeah.
But you have to weigh everything out. So what General Motors is saying here is we're going to take some technology we developed for cars. Now, there are hydrogen-powered cars in California. There are hydrogen fill stations. Frankly, hydrogen is what excites me the most about all of these alternative fuels, because what you do in a hydrogen fuel cell is you have some compressed hydrogen on board. Many cities run buses, trucks, and other things on compressed liquid LPG, liquid petroleum gas. We know how to contain it, even in the event of a really bad accident. But the beautiful thing about hydrogen, Jim, is there is only one byproduct when you're making electricity from hydrogen with a fuel cell. And that byproduct is pure water.
I've looked at it. No, for like cars and things, even 20 years ago, they were discussing it. This would be a great thing for cars. But to produce the hydrogen, don't you expend an awful lot of fossil fuels to make that actual hydrogen?
You do. You need a lot of electricity to do it, and it's difficult to transport in large quantities, which you'd need for instance, driving a lot of cars around.
Yeah.
And so there's been research into we can suspend it in ammonia. Ammonia happens to be pretty darn dangerous itself.
My God! Every turn in this thing.
Isn't it something? But here's the cool thing. What GM's saying is, hey, we put all of this money, your taxpayer dollars, right?
Yeah.
I seem to remember some sort of a quote bailout, unquote, for GM, into developing the fuel cells. The advantage in an airplane, if you look beyond the potential explosion, the advantage in an airplane is when a plane takes off, Jim, it has 2 tons of water on board. And your plane takes a lot of fuel to get that plane. And that's just 2 tons of water for drinking water, flushing toilets, washing hands, we hope.
Yeah.
And, just the normal stuff. And there also, of course, is a need for electricity. So the electricity is being generated by a takeoff from the turbines, which means it's burning up the jet fuel to make electricity.
Yep.
The water, of course, carrying 2 tons, launching that into the air takes a lot of fuel. If you can get a fuel cell that is considered to be intrinsically safe, now you don't have to bring water with you, because the byproduct of generating electricity to power like the cabin lights and other basic things, the power is going to create pure water,
Wow.
H2O in its purest form. And so now you're saving fuel right, left, and center. Now, of course, how did you make the hydrogen? You brought that up. That's a great point.
Yeah.
And potential safety issues. And I don't think they'll make the same mistake as the German scientists and coated in rocket fuel.
Well, you're right. We're talking with Craig Peterson, our Tech Talk guru, great guy, about this possibility of General Motors developing hydrogen fuel cells. Now, we've talked about nuclear power before. So you need a lot of electricity to produce this hydrogen that you're going to use. Okay, in order to produce that electricity, you use fossil fuels, coal, oil, mostly natural gas. Okay, we can talk about wind farms and all that, but please, what if we were to produce it with nuclear power and the advancements that have been made in nuclear power? And I know you're a big advocate.
Yay! That's a fantastic idea. We've got the Generation 5 nuclear plants. My son could tell you everything about them, front, back.
Yep.
But these things are inherently safe. They are the only real green fuel. Your solar cells pollute like crazy when they're made. The same thing with the batteries and the lithium mines. There's a real big discussion now because we're looking to mine lithium here in the U.S. in an area of the desert that has this rare plant that only grows where there's high lithium in the ground. And so they don't want us to mine the lithium, but we want it for our batteries so we can get our electric cars so we can feel good about ourselves. But these new generations of basically thermonuclear plants, but they're much different than the old ones, are set up in such a way that they cannot melt down. It's absolutely amazing. You can make a nuclear plant for cheap money, in a $1 million-ish range, that will power a town. And it needs to be replaced every 20 years. They put it underground, they dig it up, and off you go again. And it all recycled. And yet we are now still governing our nuclear power plants based on rules and regulations created in the 1950s.
Yeah.
And people just don't want to pay attention to it. So I'm so glad you brought it up.
No, I know, because of the advances. Hey, Kathy and I flew from Milan to Paris 2 years ago, flew over the Alps, looked down. I'm looking down because I want to see the Alps, but as I look down, I see nuclear power plants. Two nuclear power plants. You can't miss them because of the big towers cooling the steam, and these are the older nuclear power plants. But France, what is it, 70 to 80% of their electricity they produce through nuclear power. And nobody seems to discuss that at all.
Yeah, most of the European countries do, frankly. It just makes sense. It's compact. You can generate a lot of electricity. You can drive your electric cars and everything else. The grid's designed to have central points for electrical generation, not to have it generated in all of our homes and things. And one of my sons has now been flying around the country. In fact, he just went up to Canada, just north of Lake Huron, for a few days, and they got special dispensation from Lord Fauci.
Well, it's Pope Fauci. We prefer to say Pope Fauci.
Yeah, but it's a Canadian version.
Oh, the Canadian guy. Right. Okay. Yeah.
My Lord, yeah. And he went up there, and Ontario generates 30% of its electricity from these massive wind farms.
Yep.
But at any one time, so much of it is just out of production, is not working. He's having to go service things. Other people are as well. Nuclear works whether the sun's shining, whether it's the middle of winter, like in Texas, nuclear works when it starts.
Yeah. Yeah, and why aren't we doing it? I just don't. I think too many people have seen the China Syndrome and Silkwood, those two old movies about meltdowns. Now, if you had seen the miniseries Chernobyl, which I did see, which was fantastic, you would realize, that's what happens when you have a socialist communist country rushing to get power and doing it in a way that's not safe. And yet people will see that and say, oh, God, we can't have that. And that's not what we're talking about.
And with NIMBY, of course, not in my backyard, look at the Cape. Look at all of the windmills off of the Cape there. The Kennedy, it used to be the Kennedy compound.
Yes.
They donated it to charity because they care about the people.
Hold on a second. Let's just make this clear. They donated it to their own charity. Okay, now that Victoria Reggie now controls Ted's widow. So she controls who can go in there, who can come. Yeah, they donated it to a charity. Sure. Very good. You know what? You're quite the comedian there, Craig. Not only are you our tech talk guru, you do good comedy bits.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm feeling a little spicy this morning, I think, is what's going on.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, my God. Yeah, the windmills are not reliable. And they're not all that good when you get right down to it.
No, they're costly. They're obviously dependent on the wind. No one's come up with a great solution for this yet. There's stuff in Europe with the tides. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yep.
But they basically put up big dams that move and use the tide to generate electricity and energy. But till today, the new generation of nuclear is 100% what I would suggest. Nothing's 100% safe, as we already know. I just saw an update for fire departments on putting out Tesla fires. And because of the battery pack.
Yes, when they start on fire.
Exactly. So they're saying dump a lot of water on it. And so the fire departments are saying, what is that? It's somewhere around, I can't remember the exact number. I'm going to get this wrong, but it was over 3,000 gallons. And the fire department came back and said, wait a minute, our fire truck only holds 500.
Yeah. How are we going to dump 3,000 gallons of water to stop this reaction, this fire? Yeah,
and it's all these batteries, lithium-ion batteries, and they are dangerous. We've seen phones that get bent, that catch on fire, laptops. Hey, if your laptop, I noticed this with one of mine. I had an Apple laptop, and I had it down on a flat surface. I noticed it was pivoting a little bit from its middle because the battery was swollen. Took it back to Apple. They immediately replaced it. But keep an eye out on that because it can start a house fire. People have had their phones charging by their head at night, and thank goodness it was by their head because the smell of the fire will come up.
Yeah.
Because these are dangerous, and it's always a balance, right? Yeah. Should I coat it with rocket fuel, or shouldn't I coat it with rocket fuel?
All right, on that note, Craig, this has been very helpful, as usual. Craig Peterson, our Tech Talk guru. Craig, if folks want to get more information from you, like I do every week, what do they do?
You can go to craigpeterson.com. And you can subscribe right there. I'd like to point out, too, of course, I'm on the weekend here as well. But I have even more stuff that I put out every week. And you can listen to that on your iHeartRadio app, just like you can listen to it down in New York City, right?
Yep,
and
anywhere.
You can do that by just going anywhere. Just go to craigpeterson.com/iHeart. And that'll take you right to the iHeartRadio app, and you can listen to my whole show and all my ramblings for the week.
Nice. Craig Peterson, everybody. A great guy, a very smart guy. Craig, thanks so much. We'll talk with you next week.
All right. Take care, Jim.
Thank you.